Town Council action and Patriots football on this Friday edition of Barnstable Today. It's February 3rd, 2012. I'm Sarah Colvin. Barnstable Town Council met Thursday night in a rather expedient session. Town councilors referred a plan to amend the zoning ordinance impacting a portion of property along Addicks Way to a public hearing. That hearing will be held at the February 16th Town Council meeting. Next, the council discussed an appropriation and transfer order from the Barnstable Municipal Airport. The airport is asking for $365,000 to pay for asbestos removal from old buildings on the property. Assistant Airport Manager Frank Sanchez appeared before the council last night.
This situation has occurred at this stage of the construction project for the new air traffic control tower and the demolition of the old tower. With the funds received by the FAA Other Transaction Agreement and the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act supplemental agreements, we were on track to complete the project by this spring, and we were within budget. Unfortunately, our asbestos abatement and demolition subcontractors identified additional suspect materials not previously identified, which have been verified by the third-party monitoring service and must be properly removed, directed by Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, DEP. There are more details contained in your appropriation order summaries. I seek your approval to transfer $365,000 from the Barnstable Municipal Airport Enterprise Funds Reserves to cover the expense in the anticipation of a 100% reimbursement from the FAA through an additional OTA or other transaction agreement, supplemental agreement. Once the tower is down, we should be able to complete the entire project with the remaining funds.
Councilor Ann Kennedy had questions for Mr. Sanchez.
Secondly, do we put this in the same category as the generator error? Is this an oversight in project oversight, or is this something that it could reasonably have been anticipated and was not anticipated and built into the anticipated costs? In other words, again, we are having a situation where the airport is having to come back and ask for more money for something that, and I'm asking you whether it should have been discovered before now.
Both buildings, the tower and the terminal, if you go in there and see how they gutted the buildings, the demolition was not the typical conventional demolition. You just go in there and knock the building down. When they started gutting it out, there was a lot of asbestos that was behind the walls that you can't see, or it was in between the panels, it was behind the cinder block. There's no way you could have found it because at that time the building was still functional.
And Councilor John Norman then spoke in support of the airport's request.
Yes, thank you. I just want to speak to this just as a licensed construction supervisor and been involved in many construction projects, both large and small. To Councilor Tinsley's point, yes, it's obvious asbestos is mixed in with everything. In that day and age, it was considered a miracle material. I mean, they mixed it in with concrete. They mixed it. They sprayed it on steel beams. They mixed it with caulkings. They mixed it with everything. But when you're going through a project and you're going through the funding and you're going for the appropriation of a project, you know it's there, but you just don't know to what extent. So how much do you set aside? Do you set aside $100,000, $500,000, $1 million? So in general construction terms, you do the best you can to do an assessment, an abatement assessment at the beginning of the project, and that's for anything, PCBs, lead, asbestos, any hazardous waste. You do an assessment, and then you put a value to that assessment. What's happened here now is that now you have the reality sets in, whereas, like they explained, you open up walls, you find out the full extent of it, and then you have professionals determine this is exactly what it's going to cost to remove it. So this is just basically paying for what would have been. Now, had they appropriated $500,000 in the budget originally, yeah, they could have, but what if it came in at 750,000, or what if it came under? It's just better to assign your best guess, your best observations at what you can see without dismantling and taking a building out of operation, and then you proceed at a point where you know you're going to get to that point, and then be able to assess it exactly what it is. And yes, a portion of this probably could be pursued under the errors and omissions, but it's one of those things where, okay, everybody, what do? You lawyer up, and then you're expending money on lawyers to fight and to maybe get to a point where a judge goes, it's reasonable that a lot of this stuff wasn't observed at the time, and that's why they missed it. So I'm not trying to advocate. I'm just, as someone with a construction background and a knowledge, it's just one of those things. It's not. I've gone through it with homeowners. You're sitting with them and you're explaining to them why, and they don't. It's just the way it is. Unfortunately, I hope that helps some of you.
The airport now has $6 million in its reserve fund. The council approved that appropriation. Town councilors also were tasked with making a resolution to support a designated cultural district in downtown Hyannis. Growth Management Director Joanne Miller-Buntich spoke before the council last night.
The reason that this was so attractive to us and we put this on the fast track was because it's essentially the same thing that we're doing already in the High Arts program. It just brings it up to another level, gets us some recognition through the state, and as Mary Jenkins alluded to yesterday, and we sussed this out at the beginning of the process, getting the designation is going to put us in a good position when the economy rebounds and they are able to direct money towards state monies towards these cultural districts. The other thing I should let you know is that the Village of Barnstable had sent a request to us last summer, I believe, from the Village Association, asking us to assist them with a cultural district designation for Barnstable Village, and we are happy to partner with them on that, and I know they're hard at work on that. We wanted to get our legs under us with one that we already had pretty much up and running first, so we could learn all the ins and outs. And I would just point out that our partners on this application, one of our major partners is the Cape Cod Art Association, which is located in Barnstable Village, the Hyannis Main Street Business Improvement District, and the Hyannis Area Chamber of Commerce. In your packet, you also saw that in addition to the letters of support from the partners, you had letters of support from Wendy Northcross, the Executive Director of the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce, and also from Kevin Howard, Executive Director of the Arts Foundation of Cape Cod. This would be the first application to come from the Cape, and we're just very anxious to go forward with it. The reason we're before you is that a requirement of the application is that the council actually make this resolve and also send a letter of recommendation pursuant to the resolve that goes along with the application. And I think the reason for that is that they are asking the community, the lead community, the municipality has to apply. No one, not-for-profits, other organizations can't apply. It has to be the municipality that applies. And there is a commitment to lead and to have staff. Well, we already have that staff in place in the position of the Arts and Culture Coordinator.
Councilors also accepted a $10,000 grant for land management and wildfire clearing. A note for Barnstable iForum users: beginning Monday, February 6th, you'll see a list of brand new topics of discussion on the iForum. The current topics will remain up throughout the weekend and will be moved offline to make room for new topics on Monday. Not to worry though, town officials and leaders are taking your words and working on ways in which to respond or to even implement your ideas. Keep an eye on iForum for more. Don't know what we're talking about? Head to www.barnstableiforum.com. And of course, this weekend marks the big Super Bowl game played on Sunday, the matchup between our New England Patriots and the New York Giants. We wish the Patriots the best of luck in this Sunday's game. Go Pats. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.